Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Let's just jump right in, because today we are exploring an absolutely fascinating and incredibly practical concept from Dr. Harry Emery's QualityPMO methodology. We're going to look at exactly how we measure performance in complex projects. Think construction, supply chain delivery, things like that. But more importantly, we're going to talk about how to ensure your project data is actually building trust and collaboration, rather than, fear and defensiveness. If you've ever felt like your project metrics were somehow working against you, this is exactly what you need to hear. Here's a quick roadmap of where we're headed. We'll start with the data paradox, move into transparency versus surveillance, look at true relational health, cover the 6 signals of coordination, equip you with the metric guardrail checklist, and wrap up with human judgment in AI. All right, starting off with section 1, the data paradox. More data, less trust. We are living in a time where organizations literally possess more project data, dashboards, sensors, and AI capabilities than at any previous point in history. Our quality assurance and BIM teams have unprecedented visibility. But here's the paradox. This sheer abundance of information absolutely does not automatically create organizational trust. In fact, sometimes it does the exact opposite. I really want you to ask yourselves this question when you're evaluating your own projects. Does more data automatically equal greater transparency? The QualityPMO methodology points out a pretty harsh reality here. In poorly governed systems, measurement can very easily become surveillance. So those dashboards that were intended to improve performance, they actually end up creating fear and a culture of organizational silence. Dr. Emery's core thesis contrasts these two distinct environments perfectly. On one side, healthy systems use metrics to learn. That's true transparency. It helps people see reality sooner so they can fix things. But on the other side, unhealthy systems use metrics to judge. That's surveillance, and it makes people hide reality for as long as possible. When metrics become instruments of judgment, employees just learn to protect themselves instead of protecting the project. Moving right along to section 2, transparency versus surveillance, the warning signs. So, how do you know which system you're currently operating in? Well, here are these specific warning signs you need to watch out for on the ground. When teams feel surveilled, they start optimizing the score rather than doing the actual work. You might see metric gaming, where milestones are magically redefined just so the numbers look good. Or metric avoidance, where people will verbally discuss an issue, but delay entering a formal nonconformance report or a near-miss log. Then there's metric inflation. This is when your dashboards stay a comforting artificial green, even while the underlying risks are rapidly growing. And finally, metric paralysis, which happens when teams just wait for an automated system to tell them what to do, totally substituting technology for their own professional judgment. Which brings us to section 3, measuring true relational health, the lens shift. To fix this surveillance issue, we have to totally shift our lens. We need to stop only measuring traditional project outputs, like, who caused a problem, and start measuring true relational health. And this quote brilliantly illustrates a core human and organizational performance, or HOP, principle. The way leaders respond to information directly influences the information they're going to receive in the future. If every delayed request for information, every single RFI, is treated as an individual failure resulting in punishment, guess what? Your team will simply stop recording them accurately. The system learns what you reward and what you punish. All right, section 4, 6 signals of coordination. Now, for those of you using this explainer as part of your CPD program, pay close attention, because this is the absolute core of Dr. Emery's QualityPMO perspective. Rather than looking at schedules in a vacuum, Emery's methodology treats project data as an early warning system for relational breakdown. This is absolutely vital for quality and BIM teams managing complex models and submittal reviews. When a QA reviewer or BIM manager looks at these 6 relational health signals, they aren't looking at a ledger of personal failures. They're using it as a diagnostic tool to evaluate whether a metric is being used healthily to learn or unhealthily to punish. So the first signal is decision latency. This is basically the time between identifying a need and actually making the decision. It reveals how fast a team can align. Used healthily, tracking the surface's bottlenecks so the team can unblock them together. But if weaponized, it just turns into a tool for ranking individuals by their slowness. Think about how long it takes a team to agree on a clash resolution in a federated model. That right there is your decision latency. Next up, we've got unresolved issues. Look, an aging log of unresolved issues tells you a whole lot about whether people feel safe raising problems. In a healthy culture, this list drives joint problem solving. But if it's weaponized, those open items are essentially counted as personal failures, which makes team members absolutely terrified to flag potential defects early. Third is overdue actions. This is really about measuring the realism of commitments. When someone has an overdue action, a healthy system immediately prompts replanning and offers of help. An unhealthy system, it turns that data into a public wall of shame with names attached, practically forcing people to hide their workload struggles. Fourth is information quality, and this one is huge for our BIM teams. This signals trust in the shared model or record of truth. When information quality drops, we want that metric to trigger upstream fixes to the source of the problem. What we absolutely don't want is a system that just points the finger at the last architect or engineer who happened to touch the file before it crashed. Fifth on the list is engagement. Are people actively speaking up in coordination meetings, or are they kind of quietly withdrawing? Measuring engagement should invite candid, supportive conversations about burnout. It should never be scored and used as some rigid compliance test by management. And finally, number 6, coordination friction. This signal reveals the health of the interfaces across your disciplines and your entire supply chain. A healthy metric locates the specific seam, like, say, the handoff between structural and MEP, so you can redesign the workflow together. A weaponized metric just assigns fault to whichever party is deemed the most difficult to work with. Let's move into Section 5, the metric guardrail checklist. So how do we keep things healthy? Here is a highly practical takeaway that your quality teams can use today to audit your governance. It's the learn versus weaponize litmus test, and you should use it before publishing any metric. Ask yourself, 1. Does the number point to a system to fix or a person to blame? 2. If the trend is bad, is leadership's first move to help or to report and punish? 3. Does sharing this metric make risk safer to surface or safer to hide? And 4. Is there a human in the loop who can add context before the data is judged? If a metric fails this test, guys, it is not going to support continuous improvement. Which leads us to our final part, Section 6, human judgment in AI. Because, AI completely changes the game, but the AI itself isn't the problem. The governance around it is. On one side, we have human-governed support. Here, AI accelerates our ability to spot those relational signals, but humans provide the dialogue and verification. On the other side, we have algorithmic surveillance, where AI is just a black box scoring system that ranks people and automates punishment. The bottom line? AI should always support human judgment, literally never replace it. Which brings us to our final and honestly probably the most important question of this entire explainer. Would we rather know the truth than achieve the target? A truly healthy organization prefers an accurate red status today over a massive hidden failure tomorrow. When your team actually believes that revealing the truth will lead to learning rather than punishment, that's when you finally achieved transparency without surveillance. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I really hope this transforms how you look at your project dashboards tomorrow morning.